The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.
Please support the show by getting a David Pakman Show membership. You'll get the show commercial free, the bonus show, the archive of shows dating back to 2005, including producer Lewis's first show. That was, it's chilling, to say the least.
Wasn't I not even on camera for my first show?
Well, we weren't even doing a TV show then.
Oh, right. I mean, wasn't I not on the air? Wasn't I just running the computer?
It's anyone's guess. Well, I'm saying the first show where you chimed in.
Oh. I don't remember that.
It was a momentous occasion.
It was a long time ago.
davidpakman.com/membership. I got a great email from Adam Strange about political language and the use of language, and referring to, of course, George Lakoff's books, which are now very, very good kind of hindsight into what has happened with political language over the last several election cycles. And we actually fall into some of it. I have to admit, Adam issued some criticisms which are accurate, which is when we were talking about NDAA, I used the term, which is the term that's been used in the media, indefinite detention. And Adam indicated very astutely that when you talk about indefinite detention, you're creating kind of a frame for the brain where detention is something where a child is bad and an adult with moral authority is punishing them for something they've done. They're being detained. And it's somehow okay, even if we disagree with it politically. There's some kind of language inherent to that makes it seem like it's not that bad. And Adam goes on to say, imagine if all the time we were talking about imprisonment without trial instead of indefinite detention. President Obama okays imprisonment without trial. Imprisonment without trial is constantly the word that's being used in the mainstream media, on progressive shows, all over the place, right? That's a very different picture that it paints than indefinite detention. It triggers a much different visceral response, which is, wait a second, imprisonment without trial. That's clearly wrong. There's no two sides about it. There's no, well, indefinite detention for you're being detained because you did something wrong. It's pretty cut and dry. Imprisonment without trial. And I agree it's a much better term in terms of taking back the language.
Okay, right. And indefinite detention could also mean many things, whereas imprisonment without trial is very clear. Indefinite detention, maybe there was a trial, maybe there wasn't a trial. It could mean more than one thing.
Well, I think detention implies you haven't yet been tried or even charged of anything. But I think it's...
Well, detention just means you're being detained.
Right. You're not imprisoned, you're just being detained. So I think it's clear there hasn't been a conviction yet. But it does go a step further.
But the same thing, I mean, there's no real conviction here either. If you're just being suspected of terrorism, you're being indefinitely detained. You're not being imprisoned.
I agree, but what I'm saying is for most people, detention has a certain association of, well, somebody with moral authority has made the call to detain you, as opposed to you're just being imprisoned with no trial.
I do agree with that.
The other one, which is a great example that Adam sent me, is that there is a big opportunity in terms of the framing of taxes. George Lakoff has talked about the idea of tax relief, right? And tax relief inherently means, well, taxes are bad, they are a burden, and by reducing your taxes, you are being relieved of that burden, and it is objectively positive to pay less taxes, even though most people would understand if you pay no taxes, all of a sudden there's no roads, there's nothing, right? Most people would get that. What about Mitt Romney? And let's look at his tax story. If Mitt Romney loves America so much, why is he only investing 15% of his income a year into America? Whereas so many Americans are investing a lot more than that. So I think that there's something interesting there. That may not be a great example that would catch on individually. But what if progressive changed the conservative frame on taxes of it's theft and tax cuts are tax relief to taxes are investing in America? It's patriotic. It's patriotic to invest in the country that you love the same way baseball was patriotic. And let's change the paradigm a little bit. Could it work? What do you think?
So instead of taxes, we'll call them investments.
Mitt Romney is only investing 15% of his income a year in the United States. For somebody who claims to love America, that's pretty sad.
But David, he's running for president.
Right.
You must really love the country if you want to govern it.
He should be investing more of his money in the country.
He's investing all of his time in the country.
Hey, the guy's unemployed.
Time is money, Dave.
He's just a middle class
Time
guy.
is money.